Hello everyone and welcome to our EU Open number 4 recap video. We're going to look at my predictions from before the weekend and after the results and see how I did. So starting with Group A over here, I had Ninjas in Pajamas 3-1ing 100%. As you can see in the top left, I've got the actual results from Liquipedia. That was a lot close. Well, it was a little bit closer than I would have expected, but Ninjas did get the victory over 100%. I don't think there was anything too remarkable about that series to go super into analysis. Carmine Core, I had 3-0ing Smoky Bacon. That's exactly what happened. Team Vitality, 3-1 Dopamine. That's exactly what happened. So far, pretty good. And then fast forward here, 3-0'd Atom Unity. I predicted a 3-2, so I predicted a closer match. But it wasn't super close, but you can see it was all 1-goal games. So pretty good start to Group A. If we go by that same logic on the lowers, I thought 100% was better than Smoky Bacon. I was incorrect. Smoky Bacon actually ended up winning 3-2. It did go game 5, and it was a 1-goal series. So relatively close, but made the wrong pick there. And then I had Dopamine 3-1ing Atom Unity here. In reality, it was a 3-2, so a little bit closer, but you can see Dopamine kind of figured it out at the end and had 2 really nice games to close it out. So also, quick shout out to Cody VRL. He's the one that makes these templates, so if you want to make one for yourself for the next predictions, check out his Twitter or his x.com profile. And then in the upper semis, I had Carmine 3-1ing Ninjas. It was actually 3-2, and it felt pretty close until like the last minute of game 5. Then it didn't feel so close. But this was definitely within Ninja in Pajamas' capability to win. And as you remember from earlier in this group, Ninjas actually 3-1'd Carmine Core in Swiss. But in the group stage, they lost. So Carmine Core go through and qualify, sending Ninjas to the lowers. Vitality over Forward. In reality, it was a 3-0. I predicted a 3-1. So I was right on the top 2 qualified people. Then I had Forward winning over 100%, 3-2. 100% didn't make it. They got eliminated. So Forward had to play Smoky Bacon, but Forward still won. Ninjas 3-0 Dopamine. I predicted a 3-1. So I was 4 for 4 on who I thought would qualify. So far pretty good. Looking at Group B, let me scroll over. Had Dignitas, Tokyo Tigers 3-1. It was a little bit closer, and you can see it's actually Dangerous Esports. Now, I have to double check. I don't know if these are the exact same teams as Tokyo Tigers, and maybe they got an org that picked them up right as they thought, or right as they were playing. I think it was. Yes, I believe this is. Yes, Tokyo Tigers became Dangerous Esports Club. That makes sense. A little close for Dignitas. This made me a little bit worried for them because they should be 3-0ing a team like this. If they want to be a top 4 in EU, you should really be 3-0ing that team, but they made it work. GK 3-0'd Team BSK. I had as a 3-2. As you'll see here, I'm a bit of a GK denier. Not a hater, definitely not a hater, but I still believe we haven't really seen GK play consistently enough to rank them consistently super well. So GK had a nice sweep over Team BSK. Synergy 3-2'd Team BDS. This was probably my most controversial take and one that I got right, or possibly a controversial take. Synergy 3-2'ing BDS is what I predicted, and that's exactly what happened. BDS, of course, drops to the lowers and loses to JJ Rocks, but I'll get there in a second. Then I had Gentlemates with a narrow victory over JJ Rocks, 3-2. It was not narrow. As you can see, Gentlemates had a pretty strong tournament here, and we'll talk about that as we progress through the playoff bracket itself. You can see JJ Rocks got swept by M8, and M8 looked really good with Eugen, their new team member that replaced Radosin. So that is that. And then in the lower brackets, I had BSK 3-1ing Tokyo Tigers. Tokyo Tigers and Dangerous Esports, of course, is the same team. Just got picked up by an org after I made this initial prediction sheet. Team BSK, I had a 3-1. It was a 3-0, so relatively close. JJ Rocks 3-0'd Team BDS. This is where I was incorrect. I had JJ Rocks actually losing at this point to BDS, and BDS winning at least one game in the group stage, but unfortunately for them, they did not. So hopefully some good learnings for this team. The future is bright, and just another strong French team that we will be seeing and likely playing in future LAN events. So not too worried about them. So how's that look for upper semifinals? Like I said, I had Dignitas 3-2ing GK to take the uppers. That's not what happened. GK came out strong. You can see they really ramped up. They went 0, then 4, then 3, then 5. Really good offense from them, or really bad defense from Dig, depending how you look at it. I guess the question is, what's the difference? If one team plays great offense or one team plays bad defense, the outcome is relatively similar, and they are often correlated. One team plays really great. The other team looks like they're not playing very well. It's always tough to dissect. Is the other team just throwing and not playing well, or is it because the other team is doing so well, therefore the first team looks bad? And I think that was more the case. I think GK came to play. Archie, from what I'm remembering, Archie really showed up in this series, and also Joyo, I think, hit a couple clips. Synergy Gentlemates, this is a 3-2. I had a 3-2 for Gentlemates winning. In reality, it was a 3-1, so a little bit closer, which then pushed Synergy BSK into the lower semis. I had a 3-2 prediction. That's exactly what happened. Kind of an interesting series. Went super defensive at the end. Dignitas JJ Rocks. This is where I was expecting GK to qualify through by beating BDS, but GK had already qualified. I would have picked Dignitas or JJ Rocks. I would have picked GK or Dignitas over JJ Rocks or BDS, either one of those teams. So, not surprised. Once again, 4 for 4 on my qualifications, but I did mess up some of the lowers, so I'm going to give myself an A- for that part of it. Now, let's talk about the playoffs. Starting with lower round 1, Ninjas GK is what I had, but that obviously wasn't the case because the way that the bracket shook out. So I had Ninjas proceeding 4-3 over GK here. Ninjas instead 4-0'd Synergy. You can see this first day, this Saturday when they played, it was 4-0 sweeps. Honestly, kind of boring to watch when it's that one-sided. Unless you're a fan of the team that's winning, 4-0 is not. It wasn't that great to watch. I'm going to be completely honest. Not as interesting as it could be, is what I'll say about that. Then Synergy over Forward. I had Synergy beating Forward here. Obviously, these teams didn't play. Dignitas 4-0'd Forward, so I was kind of correct, and whoever was lower here was going to advance. So I had Ninjas. I have Dignitas going down here because I have them losing up here. So in the upper brackets, Team Vitality 4-0'd Gentlemates. That was a beatdown. I predicted a 4-1, so I also predicted it to be one-sided, but a 4-0 is different than a 4-1. Then Carmine Corps played GK instead of Dignitas. I didn't think it mattered too much. I really like Carmine on Sundays. They are probably the best team at playing on Sundays and have the most consistent results on Sundays, even more so than Energy or Falcons, it seems like. So Carmine 4-1ing Dig. In reality, they played GK, but they 4-0'd GK. So then we got in the lower quarterfinals. Oops. Spoiler. We had Gentlemates versus Ninjas. This is where I was wrong. This was a big one to miss on. I thought Ninjas was going to 4-1 Gentlemates. In reality, Gentlemates 4-2'd Ninjas. And this was just an interesting series to watch because I do feel like we saw how good M8 can play, and they have a very high floor of talent and a capability. So I think this is probably, of all the series, this is the one to have on repeat if you are a Gentlemates Alpine Esports Club fan or a fan of the three players, Juicy, Seiko, or Eugen. This was a great series to watch, and it kind of shows that they are ready to take the fourth spot if they can in EU. Granted, they're a little bit behind in points, but Ninjas and Pajamas, Gentlemates, I think are going to probably be competing for that fourth spot. And then GK, Dignitas are going to be competing for the third spot, so one of them may potentially get bumped to the fourth spot, which then would take Gentlemates and Ninjas out of the qualifications and only allow them to do the play-ins later in Worlds. But for now, we're going to talk about Raleigh Major. Dignitas 4-1 to GK. This was interesting. You can see 3 OTs in a row. That's got to be frustrating if you're on GK. I had Synergy playing here, so didn't really have the right bracket, but I did have Dignitas 4-1ing Synergy, and they 4-1 GK, so I'm going to count that as kind of right. Now let's look at the top 4, the semifinals. Carmine, Gentlemates, Vitality, Dig. So if you replace Ninjas and Gentlemates, I was 3 out of 4. That's pretty good, pretty close. So nothing to get too upset about. Obviously not what I was predicting. This is another spot where I got it wrong. So I had Carmine 4-2ing Ninjas. I would have had them 4-2ing like any team ever because they just play better on Sundays. It was a lot closer though, 4-3, and you can see the last game went to a 2-minute, 28-second overtime. So M8 probably left there thinking they could have won. It was definitely within their capability to win. It's not like they got completely blown out 4-0. It was a 7-game series, and it was a 1-goal game with 2 minutes and 28 seconds of overtime. So very, very good series. This is probably the best series in the entire tournament, I think, as far as entertaining watch factor. So if you're going to watch one series, I would strongly recommend from this last weekend you watch this one, because I think this one was really fun, really good back and forth. Plus you've got M8 with all the pedigree on that team, plus Eugen, a new exciting, versus KC. And so that was a very fun match. So if you're going to watch one, I would definitely recommend that. Then I had Dignitas winning a 4-3 over Vitality because I was liking how they were looking in Swiss. Vitality showed up here, secured the 4-2 win. This series looked good, but Vitality really shut down Dig. Dig could not find goals. As you can see, they did have one 3-score game, but they really could not find goals against this team. And it was not close towards the end after the timeout. So whatever adjustments they made, good job for Vitality. So what we ended up with, I predicted a Carmine Dignitas grand final 4-1. In reality, we got a Carmine Vitality grand final, which is great because we love watching top teams play. And it was a 4-2. So Carmine still dominated. I'm going to give myself a B+ for doing that, because maybe just a B, because I was 3 out of 4 and I picked the wrong grand final group. So I'll give myself a B for that. So not as strong in the lowers, but it's boring to always pick the top 2 teams to play each other. I like to look for the situations where things could shake out, but still be accurate. So overall, pretty good predictions from me. I would give myself probably an A-, maybe a B+ for it. Okay, on the right is where I had my projections. On the left is where we're looking at cumulative points. You can see Carmine's already secured their world spot just by the win. So, good for them. They could go and not qualify for the next 2 events, and they would still be at Worlds, which is good for them. Vitality, Dignitas, GK, Ninjas, 100%. Gentlemates, Synergy, BDS, Forward, JJ Rocks. Where are we going to see Europe? Who are we going to see the 4 teams from Europe Vitality is looking very likely. They're going to keep high consistency results. Feels like we still haven't seen that team peak yet. Then we've got Dignitas with 35, GK with 33, Ninjas and Pajamas with 25, 100% with 16, but 100% is really fading fast. They needed to get some points in this tournament, and they didn't. They went out way early. Unfortunate for them. Gentlemates got 16 points, plus they took Carmine to Game 7 in the top 4, so they're thinking they were very close to winning the whole tournament, because if you can beat Carmine in top 4, you're probably going to beat the other team on the other side of the bracket that you come see. So you got to be feeling good about yourself if you're a Gentlemates fan or the Gentlemates team. I don't think we'll see Synergy, BDS, or Forward make a run when you can just look at the total amount of points so far. But top 2 through 6 is really going to be interesting to watch for us as just fans of Rocket League. I'm not really a fan of any EU org. I'm more a fan of certain players in EU than I am a fan of the orgs. It's fun to watch. It's excellent Rocket League. So that's a quick recap. Like I said, I'm going to give myself a B+/A-. Pretty close. Picked the champion. Got the 3/4 of the semifinals correct. Missed on the grand final. That's really my main blemish. And stay tuned. NA predictions for Open 5 are going to be coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support, all the comments. Really love reading through all of them. And thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.